Hello and welcome to the Good One podcast. My name is Laura and I am here every day with a new video as we journey through the Bible this year. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the notification button, so you can be let known or made aware of when I post a new video and upload it. Because honestly, it is at the most random times throughout the day. Not gonna lie. If you are not new here, then you might have noticed that we are in a different location. That's because I have family staying. You might have also noticed I don't have headphones on. That's because they are dead. So there's 1,000 reasons why I should have taken today off, but I always put God before anything else. So I'm excited to journey through the book of Genesis. We left off on chapter 21, the birth of Isaac. So now we're going to start talking about chapter 22, the sacrifice of Isaac, which just the title alone should let you know that it's going to be suspicious. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be insane. Go ahead and take the opportunity, pause your video, worship, pray, just, I don't know what to pray about. Thank God for this day. Pray that you get something from this word. That's exactly what I did before I started this video. Okay, I hope that you paused. I hope that you worshiped. I hope that you prayed. Let's go ahead and jump in. Like I've mentioned before, this is the ESV version of the Bible. If you're in a different version, some of the words might sound different, but this is the version that I have. I also have an NIV version, and I do like reading that one. But I've started off with the ESV, so I feel like it's right if I finish it with the ESV. 16 days in already making the commitment. All right, let's get started. Chapter 22. Oh, don't forget to buckle up, Buttercup. Hey, let's go. I hope the speaker works because I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, chapter 22, verse 1. After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So basically, take Isaac, the son that I promised to you at 100 years old and who's been born, and go kill him for me, is what we're at right now. Verse 3. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him and his son Isaac. And he cut the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So they both went together. Both of them together. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. He said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went, both of them together. I mean, honestly, he's not lying because God did provide, because that's where Isaac came from. So technically, he provided the lamb for the burnt offering. But Abraham has a very good way with words, like technically she is my sister, but she's also my wife. You're like, okay, let's just be honest. Let's just try that for a change. This is my sister and my wife. This is my son and also the burnt offering that will be provided. Verse 9. When they came to the place of which God had told him, Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. There's no mention in this verse of Isaac fighting back. It just says he bound his son and laid him on the altar. I feel like at that age, if he's a kid, would you just lay down willingly because that's your dad, or would you be kicking and screaming? I remember this one time I had to get stitches because I busted my forehead doing a cartwheel in the house, and the doctor was trying to give me stitches, and I wouldn't let them give me stitches, so they had to put me in a child's straitjacket, and it looked like a bumblebee, and they roped my arms across my chest like this, and then everybody, there were 2 nurses on my legs, my mom was holding my top half down, and I was screaming because I was terrified. And the doctor at the end, because back then it was it was 2000 or something. So they used the fish hook thing and they sewed the stitches into your head. And the doctor was like, I think the whole hospital heard you scream. And I was like, yeah, no, duh. You just sewed my head together. Like, so Isaac is being laid on this thing as a burnt offering. And his dad is just binding him up, me at 5, knowing I'm getting stitches. I was like, and he's going to be like burnt alive. So I don't know. Like, do you think that he just laid there and was super like chill with it? Like, okay, dad. Because I would not have been. I'm like, yeah, get away. Run away. Verse 10. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord, here he is again, angel of the Lord, called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. He said, do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God. See, why is the angel saying that now he knows that Abraham fears God? This was an order that came directly from God for Abraham to do. So why does an angel of the Lord have the authority to cancel out that order and to say, now I see that you fear him? It's my question. Good question. Okay, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called the name of that place, the Lord will provide. As it is said to this day, on the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. You know, I wonder when Abraham said that the Lord would provide the burnt offering, or he said the Lord will provide the lamb for the offering, if Abraham had so much faith in God that like he would sacrifice his son, but a piece of him felt like it wouldn't come to that, like he was just being tested, because he said the Lord would provide, and then the Lord did provide. So I wonder if that's like, maybe he was thinking that. All right, verse 15. And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your offspring shall be the nations of the earth. Be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham lived at Beersheba. So this like quotation is all in quotations in verse 16, if you have your Bible open. If not, then it says, and said, in quotation, so this is the angel of the Lord talking, by myself I have sworn, declares the Lord. So, and declares the Lord is still in the quotation. So that means he's still saying that. Like the angel of the Lord is saying, I have sworn this, declares the Lord. I'm declaring. So that's, I'm curious. I mean, somebody told me they think it's Jesus. So that's why I want to be able to examine it and see like a biblical reason why they believe that. When I think the angel of the Lord, I think that it's like a piece of the Lord. So I question, who is this guy and why does he have so much authority? Because the other angels don't have that much authority. All right, verse 20. Now after these things, it was told to Abraham, behold, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor. Uz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, Kemuel, the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. Moreover, his concubine, whose name was Remuah, bore Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. I feel like I'm getting better at these names. It's definitely an improvement is what I'm seeing here. All right. Chapter 23, Sarah's death and burial. What? I didn't know this was in the Bible. Okay. Sarah lived 127 years, going 7 years over the 120 mark that God had put. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died at Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Oh, that's sweet. He loved her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, I am a sojourner and a foreigner among you. Give me property among you for a burying place, that I may bury my dead out of sight. The Hittites answered Abraham, "Hear us, my lord. You are a prince of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us will withhold from you his tomb to hinder you from burying your dead." Well, that must be because of how many times God has come to defend Abraham, that they're like, dude, just take whatever grave you want. It's yours. God loves you. We know, like, it's yours. You can have it. Verse 7, Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land. And he said to them, "If you are willing that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat for me Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. It is at the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence as property for a burying place." So he wants this guy's cave. Verse 10, Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, of all who went in at the gate of the city, "No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the sight of the sons of my people, I give it to you. Bury your dead." So he's like, not only do you have the cave, but you can have the whole field in front of it. It's all for you. Verse 12, Then Abraham bowed down before the people of the land, and he said to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, "But if you will hear me, I give the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there." So Abraham's saying he's going to pay for it. He's like, don't just give it to me for free. I'll pay you for the field. Ephron answered Abraham, "My lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Bury your dead." Oh, he's like, don't even pay me. Just bury people there. It's not even that much money. You're chill. Verse 16, Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights current among the merchants. So he's still going to pay him. Verse 17, So the field of Ephron in Machpelah, which was to the east of Mamre, the field with the cave that was in it, and all the trees that were in the field throughout its whole area, was made over to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites before all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, east of Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that is in it were made over to Abraham as property for a burying place by the Hittites. So Abraham ends up getting the field and the cave. This is where his dead are allowed to be buried. I feel like maybe there's a reason that this is here. Like maybe this cave is significant. Maybe this field is significant later on, because otherwise it's like just a story of two people talking about a cave for Sarah to be buried, which, like, Sarah lived 127 years. That's a long time. I mean, I know that before it was like 800 years, 900 years. Now they're kind of dwindling down, but even 127, you're tired. Good job, Sarah. You made it very far. Only one son. And Isaac is still alive. Didn't get murdered. Woohoo! All right, Isaac and Rebekah, chapter 24. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. Yes, he has. We have seen that. And Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his household, who had charge of all that he had, "Put your hand under my thigh, that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and God of earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but will go to my country and to my kindred and take a wife for my son Isaac." Why does he need to put his hand under his thigh for that? Like, why is it like, I need you to swear to me, so just shove your hand right? Like, why? Why does that? I wonder why that happens. Is that how it always was? Like, when they made swears, did they, like, shove their hand under each other's thigh and, like, I swear? I'm curious. But I understand what he's saying. He's like, I don't want a Canaanite lady for my son. My son deserves one of my women from my land. Okay. Verse 5. The servant said to him, "Perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I then take your son back to the land from which you came?" Good question. Abraham said to him, "See to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven," he's like, let me just name drop real quick, "who took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and who spoke to me and swore to me, 'To your offspring I will give this land,' he will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. Only you must not take my son back there. Okay, you can go get the wife. Isaac's not allowed to come with you. You, servant, need to pick Isaac's wife for yourself, and you'll know which one to pick. And if she don't want to come back, you don't have to follow the oath. Verse 9. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. Why is that, Abraham? Which is very curious, this prayer, O Lord God of my master Abraham, because if you remember, God had all of the men who worked in Abraham's household be circumcised. So because they are fulfilling that covenant with Abraham, then wouldn't God also be their God because they fall under Abraham? So God of my master Abraham, you would also be a follower of God because you're now circumcised, right? Please grant me success and show steadfast love to my master Abraham. Ah, how sweet. He's like, all I want is to be able to find Isaac a wife and for you to take care of my master. He's not even asking for anything for himself. Like, that's cool. Verse 13. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let the young woman to whom I shall say, please let down your jar that I may drink, and who shall say, drink, and I will water your camels, let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I shall know that you have shown steadfast love to my master. He tells him, like, this is what I expect to see. If you want this to be the wife for Isaac, I need you to meet this criteria. And sometimes I feel like we need to pray like that. Like, God, I know that this is what you have called me to do. I know that this is what you want from me. But if this is what you want from me, then please speak to me in this way, or have someone tell me this word. I remember, it's not my testimony to share, but my sister got this really awesome job, and somebody prayed over her and said, if this is the job from God, God make sure the salary is this much when she gets it. And it was like way bigger than she expected. And when they offered her the job, they said, this is the salary we're offering you. And it was the same exact amount that was said in prayer. So it's like, sometimes it's okay when we're praying and we're saying, God, if this is from you and this is what you want from me, then, can I have this? This is what I expect to hear. And then I'll know, give me a sign, just like this servant did. And I question too for servant here, I think servant and slave are different, which, like, me personally, I always thought servant and slave was the same thing. But just by reading this, I can read that a servant, this man, like, respects Abraham and is praying for Abraham, isn't taking the first opportunity to run away from abuse. So he seems to be somebody who's performing a job in that household, not held against his will. Which, if you already knew that and you're like, how does she not know that? She seems old. You know what? I don't know everything. Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay. Verse 15. Before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah. So this is family. They're related. Okay. In case you're wondering, because we just went through all that lineage. They're related. The wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, exactly, came out with her water jar on her shoulder. So her and Isaac are cousins. Verse 16, which, by the way, before I read verse 16, I had posted saying that Abraham and Sarah were half brother and sister. And some people were like, this is satire, right? Because they're not related. No, they're related. Genesis chapter 20, verse 12 states that they're half siblings. So, and now in Genesis, it clearly shows us that Isaac and Rebekah are cousins. So don't come for me because they cousins. Verse 16. The young woman was very attractive in appearance, a maiden whom no man had known. She's a virgin. She went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. Then, I wonder what's going to happen here. The servant ran to meet her and said, please give me a little water to drink from your jar. And she said, drink, my lord. Oh. And she quickly let down her jar upon her hand and gave him a drink. Exactly what he asked for. Boom. God provides. Verse 19. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran again to the well to draw water, and she drew for all his camels. What a nice lady Rebekah is. Good cousin. Verse 21. The man gazed at her in silence to learn whether the Lord had prospered his journey or not. 22. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took a gold ring weighing a half shekel and 2 bracelets for her arms weighing 10 gold shekels and said, please tell me whose daughter you are. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? She said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. She added, we have plenty of both straw and fodder and room to spend the night. The man bowed his head and worshipped the Lord and said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his steadfast love of his faithfulness toward my master. As for me, the Lord has led me in the way of the house of my master's kinsman. Then the young woman ran and told her mother's household about these things. So he knew right away. He was like, bam, Rebecca's the one. Look at God. Look at him answering my prayer. Look at him fulfilling what I asked, because God is good. And he did God talk in that moment. In these paragraphs, in these verses, have we heard the voice of God? Did God come and say, look, this is her, this is she? No, but God moved through Rebecca, and she spoke exactly what the servant wanted to hear. And that's how he had that confirmation. So sometimes God you won't just hear the voice of God, but somebody around you will say something and it'll really resonate with you, and your spirit will move and you'll be like, oh, wow, that's God. Like, I need to listen to that. So I think that's important because that happens a lot. Verse 29, Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban. Laban ran out toward the man to the spring. As soon as he saw the ring and the bracelets on his sister's arms and heard the words of Rebecca, his sister, thus the man spoke to me, he went to the man. And behold, he was standing by the camels at the spring. He said, come in, O blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came to the house and unharnessed the camels and gave straw and fodder to the camels. And there was water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Then food was set before him to eat. But he said, I will not eat until I have said what I have to say. And he said, speak on. So he said, you know what, though, that he said, put like sometimes we got to put the name in front, right? The servant said, the brother said, this person said, it's just he said, I'm keeping up, but I hope you're keeping up. So now it's going to be Abraham's servant talking. So he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become great. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male servants and female servants, camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old. And to him he has given all that he has. My master made me swear, saying, you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. But you shall go to my father's house and to my clan and take a wife for my son. I said to my master, perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, the Lord before whom I have walked will send his angel with you and prosper your way. You shall take a wife for my son, from my clan, and from my father's house. Then you will be free from my oath when you come to my clan. And if they will not give her to you, you will be free from my oath. I feel like he keeps talking, but I feel like he's like the guy in like the movies who sits down with the bowl of food and is like, oh, I'll tell you what happened. This will happen. And he's just like eating and talking. And he's like, oh, and then he said this. And then I said this. And they're like, why are you here? Like, you're giving us way too much information. Abraham sent me for a wife for his son. God made a way for me to get here. I would like to bring her back. He's like, no. And I'm going to keep going. There's more. Verse 42. I came today to the spring and said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if now you are prospering the way that I go, behold, I am standing by the spring of water. Let the virgin who comes out to drink water or to draw water, to whom I shall say, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and who will say to me, drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman who the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. They're sticking together, but he's just so chatty. He's ready. It was a long journey for him, all right? Let him just stop. We're going to keep listening to him. He had a long walk to go find Rebecca. Then he found her. He was like, wow, he realized the goodness of God. Now he just wants to chit-chat about all of it. So here he goes. Here he's talking some more. Abraham's servant. Verse 45. Before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebecca came out with her water jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the spring and drew water. I said to her, please let me drink. She quickly let down her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give you camels a drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels a drink also. Then I asked her, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. So I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her arms. Then I bowed my head and worshipped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham. who had led me by the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. Now then, if you're going to show your steadfast love and faithfulness to my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may return to the right hand or to the left. I find all this funny because before he says all this stuff, it tells us that Rebecca ran back and told her family what happened, and then they approached the servant, and now they're like, what happened? And he's saying everything all over again. So they've already gotten one recount of all this, and now the servant's like, but let me tell you every single step. This is like literally chapter 23 repeated just in this. No, this is the beginning of chapter 24 repeated just in the servant's own words. So, peace silly. Verse 50. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the thing has come from the Lord. We cannot speak to you bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has spoken. Amen. I love how they all have so much faith in God, because and his story, while he like chit-chatted and went on and on and on, he was able to convey the fact that Abraham was the one who sent him, that the Lord had showed him that Rebekah is supposed to be the wife. And those men had so much faith that they're like, yep, take her. Bye, Rebecca. Have fun. We'll see you later, maybe. Verse 52. When Abraham's servant heard their words, he bowed himself to the earth before the Lord. And the servant brought out jewelry of silver, of gold, and garments, and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave to her brother and to her mother costly ornaments. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank, and they spent the night there. When they arose in the morning, he said, send me away to my master. Her brother and her mother said, let the young woman remain with us a while, at least 10 days. After that she may go. But he said to them, do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. They said, let us call the young woman and ask her. And they called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? She said, I will go. She's ready. I'm going. He came, the Lord sent him. Isaac is Abraham's son. That's my cousin, but it's okay. I'm going. She's going. Verse 59. So they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, our sister, may you become thousands of 10,000s, and may your offspring possess the gate of those who hate him. Then Rebekah and her young women arose and rode on the camel and followed the man. Thus the servant took Rebekah and went his way. Now Isaac had returned from Beer Lahi Roi and was dwelling in the Negeb. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, there were camels coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel, and she said to the servant, who is that man walking in the field to meet us? The servant said, that's my master. So she took her veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. I can only imagine that this is such a short little verse. Literally verse 66 starts. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. But it's like, you know that he treated Isaac just like that family and was like, hold up, let me tell you. So I went on my horse and I rode with these men and we went all the way over there. And then we stopped and I prayed and I said, Lord of my master, this is what I want. And then this happened. And then and then hold on. And then this, she's like, I see her. She's next to you. You can relax. Like, I know. Verse 67. Then Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So this was like, mom dead, have the cave, go get a wife. Now he has a wife. And the next chapter for tomorrow, Abraham's death and his descendants. So it starts talking about that. But my favorite part of today's reading was Abraham's servant, because I can just, maybe it's just me, like, because I like reading the Bible like a storybook, because it's a book full of a bunch of stories, which I believe are true, obviously, and historically accurate. But like his like excitement of like, this happened and this happened and the Lord did this and he did this. And that's like how I feel like I was, especially when I first came to Christ and I felt Christ moving in my life. Like I just wanted to walk around and tell everybody. And that's how I feel when I read these stories every day. I want to walk around and be like, did you know that Abraham and Sarah and there's dragons and this? So like the excitement that he has for what he experienced and what he was doing, and just wanting to recount the story from beginning to end is how I feel every time I read these Bible stories. So I feel like that is what resonated with me the most today reading. But I am still sick. My voice still is shoddy. I really am praying that this recorded the sound. So yeah, tell me in the comments what stood out to you the most in today's story. Like, what did you take from it and say, wow, I've heard this story 100 times, but today this is what I got from it. I would really like to know. I'm actually genuinely curious. What did you get from it that was new today? All right, guys, I'll see you mañana. Have a great night, day, evening, afternoon. You know how it goes.